magic damage. You could argue that Captain Monk does magic damage, but he didn't actually do that much in the previous game. We didn't actually see a lot come out of him on the Elise. So without Elise going full AP burst mode, it's armor. It's armor for days on these big frontliners that love to just become unkillable. Chris Brown, Galzerian, and Joestar are all going to be able to stack that stat and make it so Insanity and Flexpoint and Gordon Ramsay, lesser so on Flexpoint, he does have those true damage procs with those vitals, but at the same time, any non-vital hit is just going to be a tickle. It's going to be very, very difficult for these guys on the YouTube squad to break the lines of Dynamic Strangers unless Dynamic Strangers falls behind very far early. Also, with advantage on this Orianna, he's not up against anything with an extreme amount of range. You're not up against a long-range AD carry. You're not up against a siege-type mid laner like a Syndra or a Xerath or something like that. Everybody's got to get within range for advantage to manipulate the battlefield all over him. And I'm really looking forward to seeing some more stellar play come out of him. He's been my MVP of this series so far, and if he plays this game like he played the last game, a great shot at winning this despite the Ashe disadvantage.
And also, what they're going to have to watch out for, particularly Galzerian, is it's so tempting to build Spirit Visage on Zac. You want to build that item because it's so amazing on him. But in this situation where there's like no magic damage coming out from the opposing team, he's going to have to shy away from that pick unless he's already got several armor items. Hopefully he won't fall into that trap. Hopefully he'll pick up the appropriate items for himself. But for sure, I'm worried about this Ashe pick. We've said it already. I'm saying it again, beating that horse to death with our stick. But it concerns me for Dynamic Strangers, and it's definitely a window for the YouTubers to exploit.
I would say that barring the Ashe pick, the draft was definitely won by Dynamic Strangers. Even with the Ashe pick, I would still give the draft over to them just because having a full AD comp detracts from your draft so hard. And no, I do not count Captain Monk as an actual AP threat, considering Elise doesn't build super high burst damage AP, normally just going for some bruiser or even more just pure tank items. We'll have to see how it ends up working out. We're going into the loading screen. We will be live. Game number 3, Dynamic Strangers. YouTubers are us. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. It's House Party 5v5 Minor League Playoffs. We are in the third and final game of this best of 3 between Dynamic Strangers in the blue and YouTubers Are Us in the red. YouTubers had a strong showing in game number 1 and took home the win. Game number 2, Dynamic Strangers said we might have been down, but we're hella not out. They come back and even it up 1-1. Now this game is going to decide the whole shebang. I'm Captain Flowers here for play-by-play, joined by Fury Golem on color commentary. Fury, how you feeling going into this final game?
I'm super hyped. The Twitch chat is talking us down for our hype, but these two games have been so much fun to watch, with both of these teams showcasing some really spectacular moments of skill, as well as solid play throughout the rest of the game. For this particular one, I guess the biggest matchup I'm looking at is the Olaf versus the Fiora. Last game, Joestar did a really good job of beating down on the Jax, but Jax is a champion that has a much rougher early game than Fiora does. He gets too overconfident from having done that well, and we've seen Joestar get overconfident in that level 8 area before and die when he thinks he has an advantage and doesn't. Fiora can beat him up pretty good in this early game and would be a place where YouTubers would really want to make a point of taking an advantage.
Olaf is a champion who can definitely deal damage to Fiora early on, though. As long as he plays well around the vitals and picks a fight where Fiora has to really misposition herself to be able to proc that first vital, he can definitely out-trade her early on in the game and start to bully her around. The big thing that Joestar has to keep in the back of his mind this entire time is the fact that in these previous matchups, we've seen the top laners go teleport for teleport. Flexpoint brought Ignite this time, and Joestar's got to be very, very aware of that, especially on a champion who relies so much on Vamp in his trading.
And that means there's only one teleport in this game. How far we have come from the teleport meta. This is a very strange place to be. However, if this YouTubers team falls behind, they're going to have a hard time protecting their towers or making surprise ganks without it. That's actually going to be a plus in the favor of Apizan, who chose this relatively unsafe Ashe pick, but is much, much safer when he doesn't have to worry about teleports unevening his lane. All of the teleports are in his favor if Joestar can come down here and make this a 3v2.
It's going to be up to him to be able to find those plays as well, because he's always going to have to play around Flexpoint having that Ignite. The difference that Ignite makes is very big in any 1v1 matchup, but like I mentioned earlier, it's that much bigger against a champion like Olaf, or like a Vladimir, or like a Swain, or something that the healing reduction aspect of the spell, which is normally just this side facet, has so much more of an impact. Joestar is not going to be able to stand there and just go auto, and start healing up like crazy, because Flexpoint's going to have that healing gimped through the Ignite. Joestar is going to have to fight around the Ignite well and make sure that he's always aware of when it's up.
I hate playing against Fiora even more than I hate playing against Riven in the top lane. She's such a hard champion to play around. You have to know... She's one of those champions who, playing against her, you have to know better than if you're actually playing her.
Absolutely. You have to be aware of the riposte. You've got to be aware of making sure you're always avoiding those vitals. It's a champion that if you are not knowledgeable... juggling my words there. If you're not knowledgeable about how it works, you're going to have a very uncomfortable time trying to lane against her in any sort of effective manner. So hopefully we're going to see Joestar able to keep up and not let this Fiora get absolutely crazy, because Fiora in the late game is one of the most abhorrent abominations of nature League of Legends has ever spawned. Percent HP true damage that scales up to the 15-16% mark is something that every character in the game has to be deathly afraid of.
That is so ridiculous. Like, I don't even know how that gets away with... I mean, there's not even 15-16% health damage in the rest of the game. Like, Warwick's like, oh yeah, my Q's got like 8%. That's pretty huge, right? And then Fiora's like, no. 16%, and it's true damage. That's fair, right?
And it's true damage. Of course. Granted, of course, those numbers I'm giving are the extreme end of it. You pretty much have to build pure glass on Fiora, no tank whatsoever, the 7 Bloodthirsters build, you know, that works. But the point is, she does get very high percent HP-based true damage, and against a team that's got a huge front line with Chris Brown, Galzerian, and Joestar, if Fiora gets far ahead, Flexpoint is going to be able to carry this game on his own.
Right now, okay, there's the Elise. He wants to get this blue away from Galzerian, but he's not there fast enough, and that's kind of a wasted ward and a wasted time for Captain Monk. He's going to find himself a bit down in CS and advantage. Galzerian going up here, wants to make an issue of this. The lane is pushing in favor towards Flexpoint, and Joestar is finding himself pretty low at this point in the fight.
Joestar able to find the first blood. A wonderful turnaround on this Olaf. Almost keeps himself alive through the Ignite as well. Flexpoint's summoner spell ends up making it a 1-for-1, but well played by Joestar. He made sure he didn't allow Fiora to proc that vital until much later. Honestly, there might have been a way if he moved slightly differently to be able to position himself against that wall to completely deny it, but all the same, he got the kill first, he gets the first blood, he turns it around, and he shows exactly how Olaf deals with Fiora. You keep the vital against the wall and you beat her down.
And now he's got Caulfield's Warhammer, which is a very nice item to first pick on their first back with an Olaf. Unfortunately, the Fiora also has a pickaxe. So really, heading into level 6, Fiora's got that level.
A lot of trouble bot side, though. Chris Brown Senpai having to eat her to keep her alive, to run away, to get away from the threat that Gordon Ramsay and God Tier Panth are posing. Apazin not able to keep himself K in this lane for the time being. Looks like he might have been AFK or doing something else or something, but he pays for it nonetheless, gets taken down very low, and now having to pot up to keep himself in this lane. They're going to have to make sure that they don't have anything bad happen in terms of that. But for the first time in both of these past 2 games, we're seeing the score be even early on. Gold advantage going over to Dynamic Strangers. Despite that, Galzerian into the mid lane, able to find the knockup on Insanity XXX, who follows his shadow behind his opponents. And now Galzerian going to be looking for that stretching strike to slow him down. Captain Monk rotating over to 2v2 might be the reality here, but Galzerian wanting to back away. Flex point rotating down, and it's going to be the TP in from Joestar, who pops the ghost. Galzerian's in the middle of everything. Captain Monk about to be melted down. Zac gets popped, but it's only his passive. That's the great part about these anti-death champions. Advantage now under pressure from Flex point. The Shurikens will not be able to connect. Galzerian alive, but Insanity XXX takes him down. Joestar has to pick which target he wants. Flex point under a lot of pressure, taking a lot of damage. Advantage doing what he can to make this fight happen. Gordon Ramsay, Apazin into the 2v2 bot side. Another munch from Chris Brown Senpai keeps that 80 carry alive, and Joestar and Advantage have no mana left to be able
Insanity
to get away from this mid lane
hit 6.
fight. Insanity Triple X has the ultimate. He's got the death mark, he's got the shurikens, he's got the kill, and YouTubers go up 3-2.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate chase for Dynamic Strangers. They wanted a little bit more than they really had the power to get. They should have stood on top of that Jax and made sure to keep him safe against Zed, but they were too hungry for the kill on Fiora, who is just too safe at this point in the game for them to really get on and kill.
That's honestly one of the biggest things that helped Fiora when she got changed as a character, is a lot of people look at her and they're like, oh man, she's got all this true damage, that's why she's OP. Well, the real reason why Fiora was or is as ridiculous as she is because her laning went from one of the most unsafe laning phases in the game. It was literally if the jungler shows up, you die. You had no ability to get out of anything. Your entire trade involved a full commit. And now she has Lunge, which can be used not just as a targeted ability, but to escape. And she also has Riposte, which just can completely negate most of the damage if you time it correctly, and he's able to force Joestar out of lane one more time.
Oh, Apazin, eaten by Chris Brown Senpai, but it's not quite... Oh, he flashes out.
Ignite comes down, God Tier Panth looking for some damage onto Apazin. Joestar going to die into that top side. One more auto onto Apazin is not required as the Ignite tick takes him down. Galzerian bouncing around on top of Gordon Ramsay, able to find quite a bit of damage, but can he find enough? Stun from that Winter's Bite proc. Galzerian has no passive available. Chris Brown Senpai eating him up, keeping him safe. Captain Monk collapsing now onto Chris Brown, who will pop that thick skin, try to keep himself alive. They aren't able to grab the kill onto Gordon, and now it's going to be YouTubers going up 5-2. They've got a 1,000 gold advantage, and they're making the plays across the map.
Just a little bit of overconfidence repeatedly by these teams by this team. Dynamic Strangers, they're playing like they've got more of an advantage than they have, and it's unfortunate that they have taken that attitude. That is the confidence, that is the opposite side of the confidence. They lost one game and then had the confidence to come back and win the second, but they won the second game and their confidence is a little too strong in the third, and they're overextending and getting punished for it.
Joestar also not risking the Ignite in the top lane. We saw that the way that he died was Flex Point lunging into him, activating the Tiamat active, and then popping that Ignite and walking away. Joestar was still so far out because in a typical no-Ignite top lane matchup, he knew that the damage threshold wasn't high enough for him to actually die there. He discounted the Ignite, he didn't count on that extra burst, and it gets Flex Point his second kill of the game. Apazin under pressure, one more auto attack, going to be able to stun him up those concussive blows more than enough to give Gordon Ramsay the time to throw that boomerang and grab the 6th kill of the game for his team.
These 3 games have been such a matter of one team getting an advantage and using it well, and we're seeing that over and over again here in this game too. The strength of this bot lane with the Braum and the Sever able to capitalize on advantages by chasing people down. You cannot overextend with that unsafe Ashe. She is 0-2-0 at this point in the game and 16 CS down against her opponent. A very unfortunate place to be and something that's fairly expected given that champion pick.
Yeah, the Ashe I called it the weak link in the lobby. I'm going to call it the weak link all the way until one of these Nexuses blows. But it's 6-2 now in favor of YouTubers, as Joestar's getting to the point now where he can't really deal with flex point too well. He's got the Grand Challenge dropped on top of him. The lunge is going to be able to find that kill, and now inside the middle of that heal, flex point has no chance of losing to Galzerian, able to find another lunge, another vital, and Galzerian is forced to run away. This is the difficulty Olaf runs into. He's able to fight Fiora early, but once he falls behind, every time he pops Ragnarok and tries to go that man mode fight, Fiora just pops Grand Challenge, and then he can't keep himself against the wall, and she's able to proc that extra damage and those heals over and over.
And here comes Elise. They want advantage, but here's the minion wave. Can they make this happen?
Everybody comes down exhausted there. They don't even need the ultimate. Monk goes up into the air. The repel keeps him alive, drops the aggro, and Insanity and Monk find the 8th kill of the game. YouTubers up 3K at 11 minutes.
The damage is so much. Advantage was so unprepared for that. We talked Advantage up in the first 2 games, but now he's down 0, 2, and 1, and almost 30 CS down on his lane opponent. Zed is generally a good pick into that Orianna, but even so, a very poor situation that Advantage finds himself in.
Straight up Maw of Malmortius rush on this Zed as well, making him that much more difficult for Orianna to be able to deal with. Galzerian trying that drive-by smite will not be able to steal it away from Captain Monk, though, who's now able to grab that first objective of the game for his team.
It is so funny watching a Zac try to pull that off. It's such a hit-and-miss ability, and it came a little bit close there, but not close enough.
App isn't under pressure one more time. It's Bomb able to start the fight. The concussive blows land, but Chris Brown Senpai doing what Tom Kench does, tries to keep his ally safe. The Ignite gets dropped, the arrow gets whiffed, and Apazin gets another death. 0-3-0 on this Ashe.
This is snowballing really, really hard in favor of YouTubers. Last game, they put themselves in a bad position in Champion Select, and this game, it looked like they had as well, but despite giving over those really big power picks early on...
Side, and it's going to be Flex able to detonate him 100-0. The power of those vitals. You proc one, you pop Grand Challenge, you hit another one, and then you can just dash into that third one really easily. Advantage now, Death Mark, Ignited, going down very quickly. Insanity going to be able to take him down with the last tick of that Ignite. 3-0-1 on Zed with Maw of Malmortius and Boots of Swiftness. If you would have built this in Season 5, well, even playing Zed in Season 5, everybody would have been, what the hell are you doing, man? Malmortius into Boots of Swiftness. Never thought I'd see it, but it is doing wonders.
When you're that ahead, I mean, the most important thing is being able to get to your enemy and keep up with them. And unless Orianna blows her ult, her slow is what she has primarily against him. She's got an exhaust, and she's got that ball, able to slow things down. Fortunately, not going to work against Boots of Swiftness. Zed able to stick to her so well. And at this point, I don't think Advantage can even step into lane, really. I mean, he was completely under tower at full health that entire fight, and it didn't matter. Insanity not only killed him, he killed him easily.
Yeah, Insanity XXX is just all over this matchup right now. What Advantage did to him last game, he's doing to Advantage this game. He's keeping him so far down, he doesn't really have any way to make a play or do anything. He's effectively out of the game at this point. Zed has Maw and completed Boots, and he's working on his next item. Orianna's got a tear and an armband. The disparity between the gold on these two is ridiculous.
It really is. I mean, Orianna's sitting on 3,600 gold. Zed is sitting on 5,500 gold. That's a little bit of a difference. It's 1,900 gold at 10 minutes into the game. You know, whatever. This is pretty even. Sure.
And I feel like every time the directed passes over bot lane, we're seeing a boomerang pass over Apazin as well. And now Captain Monk bot side. Galzerian here as well. The 3v3 breaks out. Monk potentially in a lot of trouble here. Galzerian bouncing all over everyone, but it's going to be Apazin the first one to drop one more time. Chris Brown cannot eat him in time. Winter's Bite going to be able to find those concussive blows. They won't be able to find another kill, however. They'll have to settle with one. 12-2 this game as YouTubers are looking to run away with it.
YouTubers maybe slacked off a little bit last game, like, oh, hey, we got this, guys. We don't have to worry about it. We're good. And
Galzerian
this game...
shared Insanity XXX, able to pop that passive, and there it goes. That is not what you want to see as the Zac player. However, it will actually be able to keep him alive this time. Captain Monk and Insanity XXX now in a lot of trouble. It's TSM Joestar able to find one kill. Can he find two? The answer is no. God tier Pants able to grab a killing spree off the back of that one as Chris Brown Senpai eats the blob and tries to carry him to safety. Winner's Bite going to be able to connect, though. It's Tom Kench, the one who's in trouble, but that arrow will be there to save him. Apizan not able to really find any follow-up, but he is able to keep his teammate alive. The Zac passive is something we see. They're totally useless or really, really, really awesome. And right there, it was really awesome. It stopped them from getting a kill they would otherwise get.
And we're looking at a game where Olaf is the only kills on his entire team. He's 3-5-0, and that's everything. We are 0-0 for kills and assists in the bot lane for this Strangers comp. Galzaren wants this, but Insanity just too strong.
Insanity has the ability to do so much damage and not really take in return from this jungle plus mid lane combo. That's the problem when you run an AP jungler along with an AP mid laner, is the fact that if the enemy mid laner can build a nice MR item early, you don't have much you can do against him. Galzaren under a lot of pressure from Flexpoint, who's able to drop the Ignite and walk away one more time. These style kills that he's able to find with these Ignites over and over again are proving how unorthodox Ignite has become in the top lane, because the jungler and the top laner on this Dynamic Strangers team are just not recognizing the fact that that Ignite's there, or they're just plain not respecting it. That's the third kill Flexpoint has gotten from Ignite alone.
I'm pretty sure Flexpoint didn't even need that to get that kill. He did it because he didn't have vision and didn't want to get collapsed on there. He didn't know where his opposing team was, thought it might be a bait, because frankly, Galzaren was way too blasé about Flexpoint being there when he was that low on health and didn't have his passive. He walked in, he saw Flexpoint, or he bounced in, he saw Flexpoint, and then he sort of stuck around, like maybe he was going to steal that blue away, when the reality is that Flexpoint can destroy him even if he's at full health, let alone down to 20% like he was.
Now, what we're seeing this game is in stark contrast to what we saw last game, and I don't mean, oh, YouTubers are winning when Dynamic Strangers was winning last game. No, I'm not stating the obvious. What I'm stating is the fact that last game we saw a big advantage for Dynamic Strangers, but overall very little in terms of objective control and actual gold lead. This game, we're seeing a big advantage for YouTubers with the turrets 2-0, the dragons 1-0, and the gold lead now nearing 10,000 at 17 minutes.
And there's another turret for YouTubers. They are indeed, they have a bigger advantage. So I think it would be unfair to say that they're capitalizing on their advantage better. I think they're just way, way farther ahead than Dynamic Strangers was last game. Last game, Dynamic Strangers was ahead by a little bit. YouTubers is up 10k gold right now. Like, last game, Strangers was never even close to 10k up at any point in the game. And this is 17 minutes in.
There's really not much Dynamic Strangers is able to do to win at this point that doesn't involve YouTubers throwing. Flexpoint looking for more damage onto Joestar, going to be able to find that last hit to take him down. Vitals are procced, and the Olaf is dead. That's going to be 6-1 now on Flexpoint.
Yeah, at this point, the game is pretty well over. I mean, that is a 6-1-0 Fiora. Oh, they do. He goes in!
6-2 here, but Flexpoint looking to turn it around will not be able to find that. Instead, it's going to be Apizan who's able to finally get himself on the board. 1-4 on this Ashe with the help of Galzaren and the turret. But if it takes that much to bring down a lone Fiora, what are you going to do about these 4 remaining guys on the YouTubers team?
As it happens, this is the best place that YouTubers could expect to be in. At this point, I don't think they could even throw the game if they wanted to. The way the minion changes have come in, and making it so when you've got a level advantage, you've got a turret advantage, your minions are so strong, their minions are just going to be constantly pushing in towards towers. If they can keep their opponents on one side of the map at all... Oh, the whiff by Braum! Uh-oh, Galzaren.
Able to take the dragon, and now Galzaren finds himself in the pit, flashes over the wall. Crisp Simplike for the time being, but it's Sanity Triple X in hot pursuit. He gets exhausted. The death will not find its target. Apizan gets himself away, but now the rest of YouTubers looking to maybe collapse onto this if they can find the time and the positioning. Instead, they're going to opt away from that one. Pings are coming down. Captain Monk able to find some damage onto advantage, jumps up into the air, uses that chicken to get himself away. Meanwhile, Gordon Ramsay, God tier Panth in the bot lane, pushing up, looking to take turret number 5.
I was talking about YouTubers not being able to throw this even if they tried, and they were trying a bit there. Insanity going way, way deep without his team, but there's nothing Strangers could do about it, and now they're going to lose another tier 2 turret. Or not quite. They might turn back. Galzaren, oh, he gets eaten.
The amount of Kinch saves in this game is absolutely ridiculous, but he's not going to be able to save Jose, who dies to another fade-away Ignite from Flexpoint.
That summoner spell, people are just so unprepared for it now. And not only that, but I mean, Joestar's just so far behind. I mean, props to him for only being 30 CS behind with how many times he's died. But even so, he is Fiora, any kind of advantage is so nasty. And Fiora against Joestar, I mean, Joestar's ult is very nice for team fights, but in the 1v1, the Olaf ult gives you nothing against Fiora.
Also, Flex Point's Ignite is on a 158-second cooldown compared to the 210 base. Because he's got those cooldown boots, because he's also got the Summoner Spell Mastery, his Ignite is on barely more than a 2.5-minute cooldown. So he's able to drop these all the time, making it so his opponents are constantly under threat from that, and so they're constantly being killed by it. Very, very good use of this Summoner Spell.
An Ignite on a Karthus ult cooldown, that's pretty rough. That's even if they weren't already ahead. But seriously, those boots combined with that mastery is something that I don't think we've seen that much so far in the preseason, and something we will see come out as a cheese option for very specific builds in the future. It's so powerful, that 25% reduction to Summoner Spell cooldowns.
Very powerful indeed, and definitely showing its worth here in this game as turret number 5 is going to fall. The YouTubers go up almost 12k. We're 21 minutes into this game, and Dynamic Strangers are struggling to find any sort of straws to grasp onto.
When it comes to minion power, your level advantage is multiplied. The formula is more complex than this, but your level advantage is multiplied by your turret advantage in a lane to give you how powerful your minions are, which means that the minion waves for YouTubers right now are so strong up against their opponents that everything is just constantly pushing. They don't even have to be there for it.
Flex Point went out a nice riposte, keeping himself safe from that arrow. Gordon Ramsay going to be able to spell shield that initiation from Galzaren, but now he's forced to flash away to continue to keep himself alive. Joestar running at him like crazy. This worked so well last game, but it's not doing what it needs to do this game, as Insanity Triple X finds Abazin into the backdrop, able to find that Ignite to grab the kill. Now he's got Death Mark. It's Advantage who's in a lot of trouble, and they're going to be able to find him as well. The Zonius keeps him alive. Zack's about to be popped. A double kill for Flex Point. 3 down over on the side of Dynamic Strangers. 5 down now. Clean aim.
Dive tower, get clean ace, watch the enemy surrender. That's a devastating win. Devastating for YouTubers. Taking
an anticlimactic ending.
I don't know about anticlimactic. I mean, YouTubers just showed up in every single lane and stomped their opponents. For sure, it was not as much of a back and forth as we'd come to expect from the previous games, with one team taking advantage and then the other, and forcing the other team to work for their win. This time, YouTubers, once they'd taken their advantage, they just kept taking advantages all the way through the game. There was just nothing to be responded with from the side of Strangers.
It was definitely a hell of a well-played game coming out from YouTubers R Us. Great, well-fought series coming out from both of these teams. GG well played to everybody involved. All 10 of y'all should feel good about that one. It was a crazy series to watch. I had a lot of fun casting it, and it's going to be YouTubers R Us who go on further in this tournament setup to see if they can ultimately claim the title of Minor League Champions. Thanks for watching this, you guys. That is going to be it for me and Fury for this evening. However, coming up next, we still have another best of 3 scheduled for everybody. This next one is going to be Ethereum Gaming versus, to be decided, I believe that is Xfire Magenta, since Team Chrono forfeited last week. Somebody needs to update the spreadsheet here on the House Party 5v5 schedule list. This one's going to be casted by the Small Dog and Deck Club Ace, so stick around, watch that one. Hopefully we get some crazy games and outplays from that, just like we got from this. This is House Party 5v5. You have been watching the Minor League Playoffs. I'm Captain Flowers here for Fury Golem, and we'll catch you guys next.